This conference will now be recorded.
Gaurav, nice backgrounds.
Thank you. Just playing around some fancy features. A lot of lag though.
So Boris and Kyle, I hope you're ready. We'll start uh, with the webinar for today.
Yeah,
So,
sounds great. Sure.
okay, great. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar on Selenium United, Selenium certified Selenium engineer with Java or Python. So this webinar is brought to you by Selenium United in association with Stepin Forum and Verity Software. So thank you for joining everyone. I hope you all are having a great day. Just a quick note to all the participants. So all the participants are in mute and will stay in mute and during the course of this webinar. And if you have any questions, you can just type them in the chat box during the webinar and our presenters will take them up at the end once the presentation is over. So our presenters for today are DI Boris Rubel and Kyle Alexander Simmons. So to give a brief introduction about Boris and Kyle, so I'll start with Boris. So Boris Rubel has dedicated himself for over 15 years to software testing, focusing on test automation in agile projects. His professional experience ranges from large-scale products in the banking and telecommunication industries to the municipal sector. Alongside these projects, Boris Rubel works in the research group for industrial software, INSO, at the Vienna University of Technology, where he also organizes and holds the academic course Software Testing. For several years, he has also taught the seminar series Presentation and Negotiation for students of European Economy and Business Management Studies at the University of Applied Sciences, BFI, Vienna. He studied business informatics, specializing in project and quality management at the Vienna University of Technology. So in the last weeks, he also contributes to the documentation of Selenium project, focusing on German translation and Kotlin code examples. So that was a brief introduction about Boris. So coming to our second presenter for the day, his name is Kyle Alexander Simmons. So Kyle is the CEO of Bright Test. He's an energetic, loyal, and hardworking Canadian from Winnipeg. After completing his bachelor's degree at the University of Manitoba in German literature and mathematics, Kyle moved to Berlin in 2006 with a DAAD scholarship and got his master's in communication and languages. After working for several years at various agencies, including campaigns for national and international brands, he stumbled upon an incredible path which led him to where he is today, the CEO of a global examination provider called Bright-Test. So in this webinar, both the speakers, Kyle and Rubel, will cover a short overview of the content of Selenium United syllabus and will look into an important topic of the course. They will also talk about one of the most important things when creating stable Selenium tests, which is weighting strategies. To write stable Selenium tests, it's important to understand what is the difference between static and dynamic weighting, which implementation does Selenium ship out of the box, and how to use them. So this was a brief introduction about what you can expect during this course of this webinar. And without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Boris. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I will talk about the weighting strategies, and the agenda for today would be I will give you a quick overview about the Selenium United syllabus, about the content, and then we take one very important topic, the weighting strategies, and afterwards Kyle will tell you more about Bright-Test and the certification. So yeah, let's start with the overview. So the Selenium United syllabus is a very pragmatic course for Selenium engineers, testers. Is actually we're supporting two languages, Java and Python. Yeah, it's mainly focused on practice. So there is just a short part of theory, and most of the time you work on examples and yeah, try to practice on your own, on your machine. That would be the okay. Can someone mute?
Yes, I'll check.
Okay. So yeah, the course is developed by experts, so there have really a lot of experience. Okay, it's very noisy on my side.
Could everyone kindly check if you are set to mute, if by chance?
Boris, this is Gaurav. I'm unmuting everybody and I'm muting you. Rather, I can't unmute you. Prasanna, please mute yourself. Prasanna is good, and nobody else. I think we're good. Go ahead, Boris, please.
Okay. So yeah, what is the content of Selenium United course? So we have 5 main chapters. The first is about the web UI automation, where you get the point how does the browser works, because this is one of the most important things, that you really know how the browser works and how Selenium works and how do we handle this and how we can get started. And what we also every time say, so the most problems for testers who write Selenium scripts are not problems with Selenium. In most cases, it's a problem with the language or with the programming language you're using. So, and for that reason, that's very important that you actually know how the browser works and how we can automate the yeah, the doing we have to do in our tests. So of course, then we're talking about Selenium, about the architecture, the history, and everything what is important and what is part of Selenium. And yeah, the third chapter is about automating. How does it work? How can we get started? So this is one of the important things, especially if you're not so familiar, or if you do not have experience with Selenium scripts. Yeah, then what I talked before, so it's very important that you have a good experience in the language you want to use for your Selenium scripts, and how to build stable and good code constructs with reusable code, because many people write Selenium scripts, and if something changed in the application you're testing, and of course nowadays most teams work agile, so there are many changes during the development process, and so it's very important that you get stable scripts which can be easily maintained, and to get every day or every hour or after every check-in a really fast response from your tests. And the last part is that we take a look about the page object model and how to build a really good framework. So the goal of the syllabus or of our certification course is that you will be able to build your own test framework. So there is no one solution for every project, because every project has different surround systems and different setup and environment. So yeah, it's important that you understand how to build your own stable and reusable framework that you can use Selenium in that way you really need it. Yeah, in the last two parts in the course would be doing a mock exam, just to get familiar how the exam will work, how you can get a feeling how the questions are done, and of course it's a multiple choice test, but Kyle can give you some details afterwards. And of course, yeah, the last point will be doing the exam, and hopefully you pass the exam and then you get certified. So let's start with the weighting strategies. And I'm sure if you ever have used or wrote Selenium scripts, this is kind of, yeah, your computer works faster than the system you are testing, and static weighting for the definition means that, okay, you wait for a specific period of time. So if you're using, for example, a login or you automate a login process, and you know, okay, it could be taking the login process for the answer from the machine could be between 1 and 30 seconds. Of course, to make a reliable script which works every time, you have to wait for the 30 seconds. So yeah, then there's a simple for Java. You just tell the computer wait for 30 seconds, so thread don't sleep, and it's in milliseconds. But is this a good strategy for your scripts? No, of course not, because imagine you have 1,000 test cases and you have to do the login 1,000 times, and in 95% your login only takes 3 seconds, and in the rest 5% it takes maybe 15 or 20 seconds. You waste a very huge time slot. So why should you wait 30 seconds if only, okay, in this case 10% of our runs would need it, and if you run 1,000 test cases, you will waste around 7 hours in every test run. And in Agile project, it's very important that you get a really fast feedback. And if you run the tests only once a day and it takes about 7 hours, in that day, so many code changes in your application will be done that you maybe miss some bugs or get the feedback at a very late time. So yeah, as I promised, I will always show you examples. Hopefully you can read my screen. So I found yeah, just a very simple demo website. I don't know if everybody, someone of you know Vaadin. Vaadin is a framework for components, for web components. Just will show you the site. So this is just a demo website where we have combo box, And one word to Vaadin. Vaadin is not so easy to automate with Selenium because it's very customized. So this it looks like a combo box, but if you take a look in the code, it's not really a combo box. It's many different things. So Vaadin provides you a test bench where it's much easier to work with that, but this is not part of this webinar now. I just took it because it's a really good example. So if I run this test and the test just open the website, and then it will try to select one of the elements. So okay, it fails. So what happened? We go to the website, and then the next thing is find the element. This is the description, the selector for the combo box, where you see all the options, and afterwards it would select Andorra, which is a very small country. So sorry.
Hi, this is Gaurav. A few of us are complaining that they're not able to see a screen. Could you stop presenting and start presenting one more time, please?
Okay. So sorry for the interruption. So in my test, just because you don't want to wait 30 seconds, I put here this thread sleep with 5 seconds, and we run the test again. So yeah, this time waiting 5 seconds. And now you see, now we wasted some seconds because the website was already done, and yeah, now the test works. Of course, now we can test. Maybe it will also work with 3 seconds. But what if the server is kind of busy, or many testers test at the same time? Then maybe it will work. Yeah. So if you really want to have a stable test, you have to increase, of course, this waiting strategy. Now it worked also with 1 second, but that's not a good strategy for test. So what does dynamic waiting means? Dynamic waiting from the point of definition is, so maybe we can have a strategy where it says, okay, let's check the website. Is the website ready? Is the element I'm looking for ready, that I can interact with that in a very small time point? So maybe every half a second we can check the website. Is everything okay? If it's okay, let's proceed. And of course, if something happens, we do not want to run in an infinite loop. So in this case, we also have to define a maximum waiting time, for example, 1 minute. And if, of course, in this minute we couldn't find the element, then it should, it should break the test or give a negative result for that test or for the test step. So Selenium offers 2 dynamic waiting strategies. The first is the implicit wait, and the second the explicit wait. So what does implicit waiting mean? So for implicit waiting, you define a maximum waiting time for all your test steps. And you do that directly on your WebDriver element. There is a method called manage, and under manageable timeouts, and you give implicit wait. In this example, it's 30 seconds, and the second parameter is the time unit. You also can choose milliseconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and so on. So in the test, and you then just checking it where elements are here. So Selenium does not support out of the box a kind of is an element not here. So for my example, in my last project, we take a look sometimes on our application if there is a error box. We just want to check if something went wrong or we get an error box. So Selenium offers these find elements. So the difference is this S at the end. And also here is a locator. So if there is no error box on the website, this line would take about 30 seconds because we defined 30 seconds. And so if we check it after every test, we had also a lot of wasted time. Yeah, just for the people you do not know what's the result of this function call. If we do not find any error box, in this case, we get an empty list. So then, of course, you can say, okay, let's just change when checking on error boxes, we can change the waiting time, for example, to 5 seconds. Then we check if there is an error box, and afterwards we bring it back to 30 seconds. But yeah, that was not the idea when implicit waiting was defined, that you change every time the timeouts of your WebDriver. So so the explicit waiting, just to show you or to get familiar how it works as the strategy I told you on the slide before. This could be one of your doing yourself or programming yourself checking mechanism for finding elements for the most shorter time. So here's a Java code that says, okay, I define a selector because I was looking for the filter select button. Then in this case, I will try it 10 times. I will try to find that element with the selector. And if the list is empty, because we have a list of web elements, if the list is empty, just wait 1 second. And after the seconds, the 1 second, we are trying to get again to find this element. And so in this case, it will wait at maximum of 10 times, so 10 seconds, or maybe some milliseconds more. And the otherwise would be if the list of web elements have at least one element, then it's possible we can click on it. And so this is how the code look like if you want to do it on your own. But of course, why do it on your own? Selenium bring that out of the box. So there's a WebDriver wait object. If you're not familiar with that, take a look at it, the documentation. And there are the expected conditions. And one of the most good things of that is that you can do it all in one line. So if you have your WebDriver wait object, the constructor for that is just give as the first parameter your WebDriver object, and the second would be the timeout in seconds. So for this example means that we wait at maximum 10 seconds. So, sorry. So our web element 1, the code would look like this. So yeah, we're using the waiter until, and there we have the expected conditions, and there are a lot of possibilities what we are waiting for. I will go in that deeper on the next slides. So yeah, the element should be clickable, and here is also the locator. So what does it do? So the waiter waits until this element is clickable, and if it's clickable, it's your test run straight away. So it waits maximum 10 seconds to get that clickable. So let's take a look in the code. So as I said before, there are many different possibilities what you can wait for. So for example, you can wait for a presence of an element. Is it display? The visibility of the present means in the DOM, if this element in the DOM. Visibility means is it displayed? You can also check against the attribute of an element. You can check about element is selectable or is selected or is will disappear maybe. Sometimes you have a loading indicator that says, okay, we will wait until the loading indicator is gone. You can check if there are a number of elements. Maybe you have a lot of elements with the same locator, or they have one attribute is the same. You just want to check, oh, I know I have to wait until there are 5 elements, or more than 5, or less than 5. So there are really many possibilities what you can wait for, or you can also wait that the URL changes maybe with a redirect or something like that. So yeah, back to our code. So our code would look like so we do not need that. So my small framework here has a get waiter function. So I wait until the element is clickable, and when I'm talking about the element, I mean so this one. Also, a very important part at our course is about the selectors. How do we get good selectors? Which one should we take, and so on. So I just want to show you. So here is the div class with this class name. This is what I selected for that selector to find. And yeah, now let's try. Yeah, and now it doesn't matter if it takes 1 second, 5 seconds, or 9 seconds, because my waiter is defined that it waits a maximum of 10 seconds. And you see the element was found, and the return value, as I said before, is the object itself. So you could also define like something like this. Of course, yeah, I used already the click. Oh, it's Java. Always need that. So hopefully you get that. So if yeah, in this case we're just waiting for that button, then the return value is the button, and then you can do everything you're allowed to do with a web element, getting attributes. Maybe that's a good. Just want to be sure that you get what happens at this line. So as you see, now it takes a little bit longer, but our script is very stable. And so yeah, you see that we really have the right element here. So is it? yeah, of course it's displayed because it's right here. Yeah, and afterwards now it's really easy to find that element with where the text is yeah, Andorra. So yeah, what is the main message from me to you? So yeah, if you have thread sleeps in your Selenium code, that's a really issue. It's a no-go. So in the projects I work, there are never thread sleeps in Selenium test. Yeah, you should really fix that. So there's absolutely no reason why you do not use the WebDriver weight and the expected conditions. It's a really good implementation and it works very stable. And I think with that code example or with that mechanism, you can really build stable tests which are reliable and with the maximum or best performance in time. The WebDriver wait just take milliseconds more than a find element, and if you dig into the deep code of this implementation, you will see that yeah, that just small or some code will execute it while this waiting strategies, and yeah, my experience is very good about that, and I use it in every our Selenium project. So yeah, question to Anil. Do we start now with questions, or should Kyle continue and take the questions afterwards? I'm done with my part right now.
Well, we have quite a few questions. Maybe we can continue and then we can have a proper conversation at the end. Does it work? And then I just need to take over the presentation. Yeah. Is it Gaurav or to change the presenter?
Yeah, yes, Kyle, I'll do that. I'll change it. 1 second, please.
Perfect.
Should I make you the presenter now?
Yeah, I think Gaurav should make it.
All right. There you go. Make presenter. And Kyle, you should be a presenter now.
Okay. It says I'm now the presenter, but the button. Here we go. So let's see if this works. Perfect. Same slide we had a second ago. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We've got quite, oh, no, I don't want to leave the meeting. The fun of live. So yeah, well, welcome to my part. I'm basically just not going to take too much of your time so we can get into the conversation about Selenium and the questions that we have, but just want to introduce a little bit about Brightest and who we are and what we're doing. So my name is Kyle, as I presented before. I'm originally from Canada, but been living here in Germany for the last 14 years, and I'm the CEO of this company. So basically, we're a global certification partner or provider. We offer quite a lot of certifications based out of here in Berlin. Our main ones, which you might know from the industry, are ISTQB. I think we have a lot of people here also involved from the Indian Testing Board, who is a partner of ours. We also offer IFPUG, the International Function Point Users Group, on a global scale in functional and non-functional function points. Then also we're now offering the ISAQB, the International Software Architecture Qualifications Board. So stay tuned for more information about that. And what we're talking about today is the United. So I'll get to that because there's quite a lot hidden behind that short little word. So today, Selenium United, the hot topic of the day. We do have this course. It was launched already about 2.5 years ago now. Originally was launched only to be offered with Java. We now also have the opportunity to offer it with Python. So basically, there's one way to there's the main course, and then all the exercises are done either in Python or Java. So you might notice we do only have one syllabus on our website, and this is the reason. The syllabus remains the same, and then it just depends for your exam whether you will be examined basically with Java or Python. Since launching Selenium United, there has been quite a few developments. I'm not going to go through everything to big detail. You're welcome to write me an email, send us questions, whatever you have. I just want to let you know that they exist. So the Agile United, focusing here on the role of the tester and the methodologies behind that. A Blockchain United was more focused on the Ethereum technology. DevOps United also here focused on the role of the tester, which is an interesting one, as the typical role of the tester as we know it is maybe a little bit different in the world of DevOps. Data and Analytics United, which is a great precursor also to the Artificial Intelligence United, in that it can help you to check your data and make sure the data is making sense before moving on with potential topics like Artificial Intelligence United. Artificial Intelligence United is focused again on the role of the tester. Performance Testing United, there's a course we're using the tool from JMeter. So it starts off with a little bit about performance testing as a whole, and then goes into a very practical aspect in dealing with JMeter. And the last one, which doesn't fit name-wise into the other categories of the logo, a little bit different, is the Design Sprint Alliance. And this one is basically how to run a design sprint. So, you know, normally a design sprint is 4 to 5 days, depending on who you're talking to. But this one is actually a course run in 2 days, how to run a design sprint. And so you will go through the steps of a design sprint, but because it's a topic which you're not as invested in for a company, for financial reasons and also personal reasons, you're not as attached to the topic, you can go through it a little faster. So it's more to be also outside of that topic and focus more on why you're doing what you're doing and what it actually can achieve. So that's a little bit about those. And then just for a little quick sneak peek about 3 of the ones we're currently working on, SDET United, Cloud United, and API United. So I won't say too much about those. You'll have to stay tuned for more information coming soon. So Selenium United, this is, of course, as I mentioned, the course with Java or Python that we've been talking about here. Boris is the master trainer. He's been responsible, as he does also with Selenium in general, translation into the German language, which we're incredibly grateful for, and runs courses here in Berlin. The 3-day, it's basically, we consider a 3-day undiluted Selenium experience, going beyond the simple code constructs. So it's more about best practices and how to actually implement that. So you're not going to learn how to test. You're not going to learn the basics. You're going to know within Selenium, and you're going to learn a lot more in that area. The full syllabus, of course, is on the website, free for download, as well as the sample exam of 10 questions to get a good idea of the topics that are in there. We say that the prerequisites are a basic knowledge in Java or Python, depending on which course you're taking it. You don't have to know both. Usually, if someone's an expert in one, they're not as much of an expert in the other, so one or the other is fine. And the full list of BOs, which is business objectives or business outcomes, and the learning objectives is in the syllabus on the Selenium United website, www.selenium-united.com. And it ends in a 50-question multiple choice exam, and you need 65% or 26 correct to pass. So important that the Selenium, you might have seen them already, and maybe some of you have them already, but the successful candidates do also receive a digital badge on top of their certificate where they can actually share on all of their social media profiles. So via the leading market, or the market leader Acclaim by Credly. So another idea of where to start with the information before joining this course, of course, ISTQB is one of the main partners that we're working with, and they do set the standard for software testing on a global scale. We're not going to go through the whole topic, don't worry. I don't want to use up too much of your time. We need to get into the discussion about Selenium, but did want to mention it will help you if you have the foundation level, so that you know about testing. And if possible, we had also a test automation engineer advanced level, so this will give you everything you would need. It's not a requirement, it's just a recommendation. In general, so you know who you can ask for training. There is a full list of the training providers on the website, and you can search through them. We call them our TPPs, or training provider partners. If you do want to become one, you can also reach out to me and find a training near you. Of course, we do work with Verity and training experts here in India, which will probably be known by most of you here on this. So they're our main one to talk to in India, and we'll be able to support you with any of your training needs for Selenium United. Around the world, these are some of the other ones that are already recognized to offer the course. So we have everything in here from Adactin in Australia to quite a few in Spain, QA Lovers and BIT. Cola is more in France and Africa. South America is represented with quite a few of these as well. North America with Quality Stream, and Testing IT is also in Mexico, TestBits in Malaysia, Team Machine Uruguay, Trendig here in Europe, so mainly in the DACH area. So you can see most of the world is covered quite well here. So there you go. How you can do an exam with Brightest. So any exam you'd like, you can go to our website. This is the first part you're going to see. There are 4 basic ways you can do an exam with us. The main one, as you might know it from the past, is a paper exam where you have a group in one room and do the papers. I will not get into detail about that. The other 3 electronic ones are all based with our partner, Pearson VUE, who's the market leader in organizing of exams. So the important thing is that all of our exams, with the exception of IFPUC, are valid for life. So once you are certified, you have that certification for your life and don't have to keep getting recertified. For IFPUC, you are certified then for 3 years, and then we'll have to get recertified or prove that you have been working in that area and have a reasonable explanation to have it lengthened again. So the 3 with Pearson VUE, we have the Brightest Green exam, which is basically the same concept as a paper exam where you'd have a group of people in one room take an exam. It would just be electronically, which is why we put a little picture of a tree on the screen, saving trees, and with instant results. That's one of the benefits there. Then we also have you can go to any test center. There's 5,200 around the world. I think it's over 180 countries at the moment. You can go into the official test centers and then take the exam. The scheduling is directly here. You can click on the Pearson VUE website and book your exam for any certification that we offer, and also the Brightest private exams. Here you need to be just in a private room, have a strong internet connection, so you can do it in your office or your home, and 24 hours a day. So quite a lot of flexibility there. Also information for, as most of you are from India, we do collaborate with the Indian Testing Board. So if you are in India, they have also solutions which they can do for you in India because they have quite an advantage on the price. And also once you're done, you will still receive your, for the United courses, you will receive your certificate from Brightest and also your acclaim badge by Credly. So, and just the contact information from myself. So you're welcome to send me an email, or if you have any questions, or to me at kyle@brightest.org, or my team at info@brightest.org, or check out the website, www.brightest.org. And also for India, Verity software, you can reach out to Vinay and Anil, who will be able to support you. Here are their email addresses, and they have the next course coming up on the 11th to the 13th, which will be online, and it will be hosted in India, which means that you will be able to, it will be in the right time zone for you. That could be a challenge if you were joining a course, say, in North America or something like that, which might be at a very different time. So without further ado, we'll get to the questions. I know that there have been quite a few questions, so we'll definitely need to have Boris back again from mute, and we can start to go through these. So, oh, now Boris is the presenter. I don't know if Boris, you need to present, but you're welcome to.
Okay. So how do we find the right questions right now?
So I can say the questions, maybe, do you want me to have the presenter rights, and then I can have the screen still showing, and then I can ask the questions that we have in the chat?
Okay.
So the first question, until we get the screen rights back up and running, basically, there we go. It says, oh, now Boris, you're the presenter. So the difference between expected conditions and expected condition. So I guess we're moving to S. The difference between expected conditions and expected condition.
Yeah, so maybe I can get the screen back, then I can show it in directly on the.
All right.
Okay, I think I'll make you the presenter then, Boris. I think you're already the presenter.
I've already made both as a presenter.
Yeah.
I've already made
Yes.
both as a presenter.
Saw that.
Or it's just going to
Yeah.
So you can see my screen now.
No.
No. Now we can see a Windows screen.
Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, the expected condition is just expected conditions are just how you use it. The expected condition is just the object where it is defined, the expected conditions. So for what is possible also if with the expected condition, so without the S, that you can define your own expected conditions. I never did that before because I think that the already implemented conditions are very useful, and I never found a scenario where it's not where it does not fulfill my needs. So actually, if you want to use it, oh, sorry, I will change the keyboard just a second. So it's not necessary that you, or for your weighting strategies, for the code for you just use the expected conditions, because here there are the static implementations of all the what I showed you before, and you see in your IDE on the right side. So the expected condition is for different for different types. So here you see what would you get back from the expected condition. So if you're looking for element, you get the element. If you ask some questions, I call it also asking the web element for, I don't know, is the attribute collapsed or expanded or so, then you see that you get the Boolean or something like this. So there is no, you cannot compare that exactly. Oh, sorry. So for your usage, just use expected conditions. If you really getting an expert and have a special case, then you have to write your own expected condition with the type. So hopefully your answer is your question is answered.
We have another question, and this one, why are we not talking about fluent weight?
Yeah, there's also a possibility. My experience had brought that in the last years, the expected condition or the explicit weighting is more usable, more stable. Of course, it's not topic of the course. There are many other possibilities how you can weight. It's just I don't know,
Fair enough.
a feeling or what we taken from the possibilities to bring that in your course, because in my opinion it's one of the easiest ways to get the weighting or stable weighting strategies.
Great. And then we have that from the same person. I think this was directly related to when you were presenting, but maybe so there's just a quick explanation. But in the case of implicit weight, does the time apply to the remaining line of code?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The time?
In the case of implicit weight, does the time apply to the remaining line of code?
Yeah, exactly. So the problem I was talking about with implicit weighting means, okay, every line of code can take a maximum, or every line of code where the WebDriver is used has a maximum time. But the problem why I talked about implicit weighting, or the problem is that if you're checking for something which is not displayed, and this is the main focus for that, you have to wait the whole time, the maximum time you defined before, and that's why it does not, is the best solution for that.
Perfect. We have another one from the same person. I think it's probably related. So
Okay.
how do we check whether the whole page loaded or not, rather than checking the specific element, or rather than checking for specific elements?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it depends on the framework the app is using. For example, I took the example of Verity. So you have many JavaScript applications where the browser does not know if the application or your website is finished or not. So the browser has to state, I'm finished, because this Selenium checks every time. If the browser is loading, and it means that for example, normally you see here a loading thing. So now the page is loaded, and then this is now really fast. So let's try with the reload. So the browser is finished, but if your application is loading, then this is a very different thing. Of course, you can also use the expected conditions. Maybe you've seen it for a very short time. There's a loading indicator, this small here, because the application is still loading. Then you can check against that. But there are applications where the browser is already finished and the JavaScript runs in the background of your browser, and getting some data from the database, put that on your website, and this could be the reason why you need checking for a specific element. Okay.
Wonderful. We have another question here, again about implicit and explicit wait. So implicit and explicit wait should not be combined. It would have an undesirable effects. Okay, so that's the first comment. What are the side effects? And is there a way we can see these effects?
If we combine implicit and explicit waiting, or
yeah, it says implicit and explicit wait should not be combined, like a point, because it would have undesirable effects. What are these? What would be the side effects, and is there a way we can? And how would we see them?
Good question. I never did that before. So yeah, I don't know exactly what could happen there. Maybe I don't know. I really don't know. I can't answer that question because I didn't do this.
Nope.
I have no idea why I should do this, but yeah, if it's
well, it shouldn't be combined. So it so you could. How would you see something if you did something you shouldn't be doing? There you go.
Yeah. so for my projects, I always use the explicit waitings, and yeah, it goes very well with that. So.
Right. And another question here: explicit wait is recommended. This is going up from this point. So, under what circumstances should we use implicit wait? If none, why does Selenium have implicit wait?
I think implicit wait was implemented a long time before the explicit wait. What I've found out is if you of course if you write your Selenium code, the explicit wait is much more code to type. But nowadays our IDEs are very powerful, so they support you when writing Selenium script. So I think if you have a really simple website with no JavaScript, with no Ajax, with no loading of website, it could be fine with implicit wait. Then it's much easier to write your code. So I can imagine that for simple things, implicit wait is fine. Also, if your I brought the example with the login. If the time you need for the login is every time below 1 second, or maybe you know that it's always only 1 or 2 seconds, then you're fine with implicit wait. So yeah, so the answer would be from my side for simple applications, and if your tests are stable, why not just use implicit wait? Then you save some development time.
Perfect. I have answered some of the questions that were related more to the certification on on the chat.
I read it. Yeah.
And someone was just asking about when the next courses are. So there's one 11th to the 13th. I know, I'm sorry, I speak really fast sometimes. Probably was letting off like a machine gun. But yeah, the 11th to the 13th of September will be in with Verity software, and you can find that on the Selenium United website under training. The next courses are always listed there, and it will be online as well. And someone
and for
also
all participants, I also took one time course at Verity software in Bangladesh, in how is the city called where Raul lives?
In Bengaluru.
In Bengaluru, yeah. So last year was in Bengaluru to take the course.
I was also there last year in October. Very different from Germany, but I loved every moment.
Oh yeah, I do.
And yeah, so I think we've gone through most of the questions. People have been asking if this has been recorded. Yes, it's been recorded. It will be also available on the Selenium United website and probably on the Verity software YouTube channel. So it might just take a couple days to be there. And yeah, if there are any more questions that someone might have at the moment, please never hesitate to send them over. Oh, another question. If we have a page in our application where the list of records are present, then after adding a new record, how can we verify that the record is added successfully in the list?
Oh yeah, that's a good example, and it's quite easy in my opinion. So I do not know exactly what happens on the website and how the elements look like. But normally, if you find a good selector for your records, you can just get how many elements you have on your website, and the second step, you just check if there are more than the first got a number of elements on the website. So the expected conditions would look like that number of elements to be more than. So if you use that, you can see my screen. Yeah. Just get the number of elements you have. Maybe you have it in the records list. It's an selector here. Oops, sorry. So this should be really easy if you have already your selector, just checking how many elements you have. And on the second, you just use the expected conditions, number of elements to be more than. Then the waiting strategy is until you have this added record is successful in your list, and that should be fine.
Great. That's at the moment. That's the last. Oh, there's another question coming. I did see another one in here that was answered in the chat, just so everyone's heard it as well. Someone did ask what the certification costs in India for the exam, not the course. And I believe it was entered in here by Vinay. So the cost of the exam is 6,500 INR. Plus potential taxes. So this is directly through the Indian testing board we collaborate in India. The price is a little higher through us, so definitely if you're in India, I would recommend with them. Sounds funny to say, but yes. So we have another question here. We have multiple.
Anmol, yeah, okay, I already read it. So just for the other participants, which is the best way to find elements on the page? So yeah, this is one of the main parts in the course, of course. Yeah, normally, in my opinion, or also we say it in the course, so the best idea would be using the ID because it's unique and most reliable. But there are some possibilities where you must use your XPath, for example. But yeah, normally we say, so we have an order, we say, okay, the best thing or the fastest thing is ID, then name, then CSS selector offers a very huge possibility of finding elements. And it's also in some documentation that XPath also offers some more possibilities, but it also takes more resources because XPath always load the whole DOM to the driver to find the elements. Sure, but yeah, the best way would be IDEA, and I very often use also CSS selectors or XPath. Especially XPath is the only way how to check the text of an element.
Yeah, I think you've got someone agreeing also in the chat. We got ID is the fastest.
ID is the
XPath
fastest.
second.
Definitely, ID is the fastest.
Perfect. We have someone also asking, why is capture so hard? And can you bypass capture with Selenium? Which I imagine that's the point of capture.
Of course, yeah, exactly. So Google invented the capture to not automate this. Of course, there's a possibility if you're the owner of a website where you implement capture that you can bypass it by Selenium with just debug options. But of course, if you're on a production, yeah, that's the feature of capture, not to automate it.
I think there's one more. Can we automate multiple elements which appears on hover to a particular axis?
That depends on the framework which is used. So there are some frameworks like prime faces where all the elements are still in the DOM, but you can see it as a user or as a human. But you can work with that or find them with Selenium. And other frameworks like Vardin, you only have the elements in your DOM which are really on the screen or which are displayed. So yeah, so there is no direct answer. Normally, yeah, it's possible to work also with elements which only appears on the Hoover effect. There you have to use the actions with this, also shipped with Selenium. But yeah, this could be another webinar to handle actions in Selenium.
Perfect. And then I did notice one that I accidentally skipped over. One person did ask, and they said they completed the certification if they can use the logo on their resume. I say, please, sure, go ahead. It's not a problem. And also you will have the digital badge, as I mentioned, from Acclaim Badging Services. Feel free, you can add that to all of your social media accounts. So that is official and can be verified as well. So they can check back to when you did it and so on. So that hopefully that helps as well. Great. Any other questions or comments we have out there, or is there something that I've missed? I've been scrolling up and down.
I'm a little bit under time pressure, so hopefully I could answer to your question. So
I think we've got all the questions answered. So
great.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining. I don't know if someone from Verity Software also wants to make a couple more words. A huge thank you to Boris for all the content.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, definitely. Thanks a lot, Boris. Thanks a lot, Kyle, again for that wonderful presentation. I really hope it was really helpful for all the participants and the queries could be answered properly. And a big thank you to the participants also for tuning into the webinar and showing interest and staying here for the complete presentation. So if you have any queries or if you're interested to know more or register for the Selenium training, you can write into us at Vinay at the date veritysoftware.in, or you can visit our website veritysoftware.in for more details. So with that, we will wrap up today's session. The webinar has been recorded and the link will be shared to all the participants. Thanks again. Thanks to the presenters. Thanks to the participants. Hope you all have a great week. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Keep safe.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Boris.
Thanks
It
for
was a
joining.
wonderful session. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.